Let's go dash.
In this episode, Luke duels against himself. Yeah, that happens. Anyway, hey, my name is Rex. Let's discuss episode 27 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Sevens. This one, of course, coming off the back of the end of the last arc, which we actually start off with some of the top Goha employees having a meeting discussing Neil's recent loss, saying that he had turned his back on them, or that he was a traitor after probably reinstating everybody's accounts afterwards. Or even, I think the thing is that yeah, that's right, they were trying to stop him a while ago, but then he beat them all in a duel. Now I remember, that was episode 21, 22 episode, that sounds about right. But regardless, they're having a meeting, and Neil himself steps in, and he's trying to clarify things. He's saying stuff like, I think that there's potential in rush duels, or something along those lines. And Goha, President Goha himself, actually speaks up, and everybody is shocked at this because normally he doesn't talk a whole lot. It seems like, at least from what we've seen. And so it seems like that's a common thing in the lore, at least, or in the universe, that he doesn't talk a lot. For him to speak up and give some opinion or contribute to it is a big thing. And he, of course, says it's clear that rush duels are the enemy, or that it's clear that what we need to do is take down rush duels. So now, for sure, we know that he's opposed to it, because before, all we really ever saw him do was just kind of laugh maniacally, and again, chime in with like one ruling. But that's really interesting to see him, to see him saying something. So hopefully we're going to start to see more of him in the series, or at least more of him coming against the main heroes in some sense. When he finally duels, that's going to be amazing. But point is, after this, now we get into the rest of the episode. In this episode, not necessarily that it's more chill, but again, coming after the end of an arc, kind of similar to the Cooking with Roman episode. This one's, I guess, a little more chill. It starts with everybody showing up to school early. Gakuto, of course, because he's the student council president. Roman just gets a feeling to show up there early. And then Yuga's there, just kind of hanging out, thinking about the duel from last episode, which honestly, buddy, me too. And they get word from Kaizo that Luke is apparently there early and has done something to one of the club rooms. And they get there, and he's taken it over as his own club, calling it Luke Club. And of course, he wants it. He has it in his head, that he's the head of this club, that he can lead it, and that everyone's going to rush duel, and he's like, oh, it's going to be so great and everything. Funny enough, of course, he's calling it Luke Club instead of Rush Duel Club or anything. Kind of funny. Side tangent. I was a president of Yu-Gi-Oh! Club back in high school, but that was a long time ago, and that was fun. Legit, though, all we did was duel, and, had some tournaments. But regardless, Luke is kind of going about it the wrong way. Self-volunteering everybody. The club room looks kind of neat, though. One thing, though, I guess, there's a bunch of monsters around there, a bunch of decorations. There's like a model of Dragears, or Rush Dragon Dragears, and that looks pretty cool. Bunch of plush toys, too. Honestly, it makes me really just want more Yu-Gi-Oh! Merchandise. We really don't have a whole lot, and we should have more. Again, I guess, while we're here, side tangent, I got this Blue Eyes figure from NECA. I love it, but we need more. Regardless, what's also cute is Roman picks up one of the plush toys, and she ends up holding it for basically the rest of the episode. But he self-volunteers his 3 friends to be part of this club, and they've all got their own stuff going on, of course. And they're not too not that they're thrilled, but they're not gonna be joining the club anytime soon. So Luke goes around self-inviting everybody else, just again, being a little delusional. And no one's gonna show up. There are a bunch of other clubs he stops by, and they're just not gonna show up. Especially him calling it the Luke Club. But throughout the day, he's playing different sports, and he's really good at these sports, to the point where everybody else from their respective sports clubs wants him to join. And the interesting thing is, there's a bit of there's some conflict between them. Of course, he's like, no, I want to duel, or oh, don't you guys want to join the Rush Duel Club? And they say something that kind of gets at him, where they say it's better to play on a team rather than dueling. When you're dueling, you're by yourself. And he kind of, he doesn't really take this lightly. The way he puts it, though, is that, his whole deck is his team, that their monsters in his deck are his teammates. And, while he's, during this kind of confrontation, it seems like Everyone else is, or at least Yuga, Luke, or Yuga, Roman, and Gakuto. Luke's the one talking. Everyone else is kind of just watching this go down, and he leaves, right? And now he's at the Duel Club, or again the Luke Club, and nobody shows up. It's only him. Again, after he had kind of gone through that, and I guess it's also kind of interesting because ideally it would be a team thing, and especially with what we've seen in the series, everybody's on the same team with all the duels they've been in, even though it's really one person dueling at a time. Everyone comes together, and especially like in the last 2 episodes, what we saw with how Luke again was one of the friends who potentially gave up his dueling account in order to help Yuga. Again, everything's back to normal now, but the fact that they all came together, which we saw in the last episode, yeah, they were all a team. Yes, at face value it would seem like that when you're dueling, it's one person versus one person. But of course, there's a lot more to that. But anyway, Luke sets up a duel against himself, since no one else is there. And, it's a low-tech duel, just not a playmat, which, it's kind of interesting to see a duel like that again in this. And so he's jumping from table to table. He even does the funny thing, or the thing that we all do when we're subtracting life points, making the sound effects from this classic video here on YouTube. I think it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Gone Crazy, where he goes do-do-do-do-do-do. Shoot, I do that in real life. But regardless, he gets tripped up as he's trying to jump from one side of the table to the other. And here he actually he starts crying again because he just realizes how alone he is, or at least in this moment. And it's interesting because now he gets seemingly transported to somewhere else where he's facing off against I guess a dark version of him, and their duel is in progress. The same duel that he was playing, again, the low-tech version. So in terms of like what exactly is going on, I'm really not sure. Could be, transported somewhere else. It could be more of a representation of his internal thing, where he's kind of, I guess, coming against himself. The interesting thing is, this Dark Luke says, like, there can only be one Luke. Whoever wins this duel will go on into the real world, or the rest of the world, or will go on after this. And interestingly, the Dark Luke has the main deck, seemingly, that Luke had been using, and on his turn he summons Rush Dragon Dragears and takes down his monsters. So then on real Luke's turn, he summons what he thinks would be, or he's about to summon Rush Dragon Dragears, but it turns out he doesn't have it, and he has a brand new monster, and that's even weirder because he has no idea where this monster came from. I mean, I had assumed that, he had 2 decks, or at least, his main deck and then a different deck to kind of test against, or at least for the sake of this duel against himself. But he's got this new dragon, and it's called Fantastrike Dragon Mirror Gears, which itself seems like an alternate version of Rush Dragon Dragears, right? Having, I guess, at least the same amount of attack. I believe they have the same amount of attack, and it visually looks similar to it. But the big crazy thing that's really thrown me for a loop as what's going on is he doesn't know where this card came from. So again, it gives more credence to it possibly actually being some different place that he's been brought to, or maybe, he just forgot about it, or somehow a new card. In terms of, something supernatural, I would not put it beyond that, because that just exists in Yu-Gi-Oh! But, this duel itself, where he's kind of dueling against himself, it's not necessarily, it changes its meaning. Because before it was more like, oh, he's by himself, he's all alone, no one showed up. Kind of due to his attitude, being not necessarily being super considerate of everyone. But then, maybe the whole thing where he was saying about the team, maybe it helped him think that through a little more. I don't know. It's an interesting episode to unpack. But regardless, he summons this new dragon, Fantastrike Dragon Mirror Gears. It's got a neat effect. Can lower the attack of the opponents and then attack twice, which Dark Luke on that side had already lost, I think, like 700 life points at that point, because again, it's picking up from the low-tech duel. And so, Luke is able to beat Dark Luke, and it cuts back to, I guess, in the real world, where everyone else is listening in through the door on him, I guess checking in on him. Again, they had kind of seen what he was doing earlier in the day, and so it made sense for them to, come in and check on him. So they come in, and they kind of say, hey, yeah, we'll join your club, Luke. kind of being more supportive. Again, I like that usually in most of the series, everybody's really supportive of each other as friends. Just so nice. They didn't initially join, again, because Luke was just kind of being, not rude, but, a bit rude or at least just assuming that they would join or automatically signing up. And again, starting a club or taking a club room without anything actually being done. Of course, Gakuto takes care of it. He says, oh yeah, now it's an official club. But of course, he changed the name to Rush Duel Club, which fits better. But regardless, it's a nice, fun episode overall. And I think, like I said, there's a lot to unpack, a lot to discuss about what potentially that could be. I mean, I guess it's really mostly at its core, like kind of Luke having a bit of introspection about himself or of himself, kind of figuring, now there's a new Luke, I guess. And, maybe this new Luke is going to act a little differently, or at least be more, or at least take the team thing to heart, at least, which I think that's what it would be. I was kind of wondering how this episode was going to be going, but I guess, at that point where he's interacting with the sports club people, and he brings up that, yes, it is a team, maybe that's specifically what it's going to be. And again, especially since we see Luke by himself, and actually now that he's by himself, he maybe gets some time to think. But regardless, everyone shows up, or at least his 3 friends, the 4 best friends, end up founding the club, joining the club, and dueling at the end. So, that's just nice. But again, interesting episode, so let me know what you think. If you've got ideas about what exactly was up with this duel, let me know. Whether it was actually there, whether it was like artistic representation of internal struggle, or an actual place or an actual duel that they had. I'm up for either, but again, the fact that a card came out of nowhere, I'm more inclined to think that something actually happened. But regardless, yeah, leave a comment below. We'll continue the discussion down there. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. You can enable bell notifications by clicking that bell. I messed that up. But anyway, this has been Rex. Have a nice day.